I got an email from someone I know in real life, and she was like, did I ever tell you my story about the haunted dolls? Her name is Wendy. Her son's name is Jake. They love thrifting, love antiques, and I fully believe her. So Wendy's great-grandmother on her mom's side was a spunky lady named Nan, who she inherited her love of thrifting and yard sales from. Nan passed away in 2009 and left them an apartment full of treasures to process. While Wendy's going through all this stuff, she finds a pair of Shirley Temple dolls. She knew about these dolls. One of the dolls Nan had been gifted, and the other one Nan pulled out of the dumpster in front of her apartment because she saw it and had to have it. This is a photo of the Shirley Temple dolls Wendy included. Wendy kept a lot of Nan's things, but she also decided she was going to pass on some of her things to other people who might enjoy them. So she took the 2 Shirley Temple dolls and gave them to Ma, which was her grandmother on her dad's side, who lived about 15 miles away. Ma had a doll collection, so she was like, this is a perfect fit, and she loved the dolls. Fast forward some years, Ma develops cancer, and she doesn't really want anyone to see her like that, so nobody's really over there. Wendy loses both of her grandparents on her mom's side. Eventually, Wendy loses her last living grandparent, which is her grandfather on her dad's side, who was married to Ma. Now keep in mind, the dolls should have been at his house because Ma was the last person who was in possession of them. But a week after he passes, she goes to pick up her son Jake at her mom's house in a completely different city. And he comes out carrying a box, and he gets in the car and he's like, look what we found. And he opens the box and it's the 2 dolls. She said her face went absolutely white because there's no explanation of why those dolls were in her mom's house. She said she had taken the dolls herself from Nan's house to Ma's house, which was a completely different side of the family, different town, and she had cleaned the houses out herself. Jake decided he does want to keep the dolls, but ultimately they traveled across towns and families on their own. Wendy will be seeing these comments, so let her know if you have questions, and keep sending me these stories. I also have a poll now every day on my Instagram, so you can vote on the next story I tell.
Do something with it.
It's just money coming to me easily. Money coming in and needing me. Money coming in repeatedly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me frequently. Money coming in to be with me. Money coming in secretly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me always. Money coming in all day. Money coming in all paid. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me frequently. Money coming in to be with me. Money coming in secretly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me easily. Money coming in and needing me. Money coming in repeatedly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just
TikTok is getting banned. I'm about to tell you a story I've never told anyone before. I feel like people are just going to think that I'm crazy. They're not going to believe me. And I honestly just need answers. I need to find the right people for this. So this is something that my mom told me when she was pregnant with me. And I've believed her ever since. So she tells me when she's about 8 months pregnant, she's at the house with a friend. Now, it was just them two. There was no kids. There was no babies. Okay. And I know people are going to say, well, it's an apartment complex. There could have been a baby. But in this room, there was no babies. There was no kids. It was just her and my very pregnant mom. So while she was talking about her pregnancy with her friend, suddenly they hear a baby cry, like a legit baby cry. But the sound was actually coming from her stomach. And this is where people are going to be like, no, there has to be kids around in the apartment or whatever. But my mom and her friend swear that the crying was coming from the stomach. Now, obviously, babies can't cry in the stomach because of liquids, and obviously they're inside. You know what I mean? So they're looking around to see if they hear the crying from anywhere else. Again, maybe it's coming from the apartment next door or whatever, but no, it's literally coming from my mom's stomach. So her friend, who is very into like, I don't know, legends, the superstition, you know, all of that stuff, she goes ahead and tells her that that is actually a very good sign, that when a baby cries in your stomach and you can hear it, it means they're going to be born with, I don't want to say magical powers, but definitely have more of like a sixth sense and be able to see things that other people can't see or feel. And again, this is where people are not going to believe me, but my whole entire life, I've been very sensitive to, I don't want to say That's So Raven visions, but That's So Raven visions. Like sometimes I will just be driving or doing my thing, and it's not something that I see, but something that I feel that turns into like images, but not really in my head. I don't know if anyone has experienced that, but it's just like this very, very heavy intuition. And even when I was a kid, I would tell my mom, oh, like, I felt this or I saw this, and then it would happen like in the news, and then she'd be like, oh, don't tell anyone. But mind you, one thing that her friend said was not to tell me about the baby crying in her stomach or anything like that until after I turned a certain age. I don't know if it was 18 or like 21 or something like that. It was after a certain age she was able to tell me. So once I became an adult and I knew about all of this, I tried Googling it, and there was like maybe one article or one story that explained that this superstition or this like I don't know what it's called, supernatural thing, I don't know, does happen. And I believe in the Guatemalan culture, which, hey, I am Guatemalan, but I'm not like connected to that culture. I didn't grow up learning so much of it. I learned more like Salvadorian culture. There's that. But it was such a small article that I didn't really get more info. So I'm turning here to TikTok to see if there's anyone that knows any information about this. Is this true? Have you experienced it? Do you know anyone else who's experienced it? Do you know any more about this like happening in certain cultures or anything like that? I desperately want to connect with this, I don't want to say power, but with this gift more, because I think there's a way to like grow this into something like better and just, I guess, be able to control it more. I know you guys are gonna think I'm crazy, but again, I hope this finds the right people.
Y'all want to hear about the time I think I met somebody possessed? Alright, picture it. It's 2010, summer. I am working at Macy's as a sales associate. It's Wednesday, about 11 in the morning, before the store got really, really busy. I'm standing there with my coworker Athena. We're standing at the cash wrap and we're just shooting the shit because our manager was not anywhere around, and she was one of those who was like, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean. So we were just taking advantage of the downtime. Now, mind you, we are standing in the juniors department across from the dresses department. Same manager. This is an important note. So I'm leaning on the cash wrap, kind of like this, standing there talking to Athena. All of a sudden, she pulls a face. So I whip around thinking it's our manager. But that would have been the preferred outcome for this. On the other side of the cash wrap is not our manager, but a woman staring daggers into Athena and I. There is so much hatred in this woman's eyes, y'all. It's like we dropped a house on her sister. Like we made her lose her job during a recession. Like this type of HATE, okay? And I committed mostly to memory what this woman looked like and was wearing. She was wearing a white t-shirt, skinny, ripped jeans, black flip-flops. She had a frizzy, unkempt blonde bob, and she had just the most ashen skin I've ever seen in my life. But what's more is she had these really dark eyes. Now, I've got brown eyes, I've got dark brown eyes, and I have seen people who have eyes that are so dark, like their irises are so dark they look black. That's not what this was. It was like her pupils were dilated on 10. Bitch, like the whole thing, just corner to corner, dark. And she was glaring at us. Now at this point, heart doing this, okay? Start beating double time. And we're standing there and just taking this in. For just a second, we were both stunned. Finally, I go, "Can I help you with anything, ma'am?" And she doesn't respond. Athena asks her, no response. Athena asks her again. Finally, the woman says one word, "Dresses." Now, I'm getting goosebumps recounting this story, but she said dresses and her voice was low, like guttural low. I don't even think I could try to replicate it. It could replicate it if I tried. So, I go straight back into the left. That's where the dresses are. "Can we help you with anything else?" She doesn't respond. Straight back into the left, "Ma'am, is there anything else we can help you with?" She doesn't respond. Athena goes, I can show you where the dresses are." And the woman nods once. Now, I look at Athena, and Athena looks at me, and I look at Athena. Because I am thinking, bitch, you better be joking. Because I cannot be the only one unsettled by this. I cannot be the only one experiencing this level of discomfort. So why are you volunteering to show. Anyway, Athena grabs my hand. It's like, yeah, we will show you. Grabs my arm. And we proceed to go show this woman where the dresses are. She insisted on walking behind us, this woman. She did not catch up to us. She was not in front of us, which is usually what ends up happening when I'm showing people stuff. They're standing right beside me or whatever, right? We show where the dresses are. Turn around. Still glaring. Standing still as a statue. And that was the other thing. This woman was standing extremely still. Show where the dresses are. Walk back to the register. Athena and I have a debrief. I tell Athena she's silly and she would end up as a victim in a horror movie if she continues to act in the way that she does. She tells me that she was scared and didn't want to show her alone and knew that if our boss came back over, she would say something, which is why she showed her where the dresses were. But then we both say, all about the same time, man, I feel nauseous. I don't feel right. I've got a headache. I feel very sweaty. You know that feeling when you have motion sickness or like you're sick on a plane or something? It's just this whole body discomfort. That is what we were both feeling. And we both started feeling it around the same time after interacting with this woman. So a couple hours pass. Don't see this woman. Don't hear from her. The feeling subsides. We go about our business. Our manager comes over and calls the women from the dresses department over to have a bit of a team debrief because at this point we're still not very busy. One of my coworkers, she looks very flushed. She looks very unsettled. So we're like, yo, what's up? Are you good? She recounts almost the exact same experience that we had with this woman. She's putting dresses back, turns around, and the woman's standing like real close, like this to her. You know what I'm saying? And says nothing, standing very still. And another coworker had a very similar experience on the dresses side, and both are describing the same level of discomfort, the same headache, nausea, all of those kind of feelings. So we pipe up and say, yo, we had the same experience. Miss Yolanda, our boss, Yolanda, we all had the same experience. This woman, she's making us uncomfortable. Have you seen her? Like, what do we do? Because we don't feel good. We're scared. Yolanda's like, ugh, you kids and your little superstitions. Meh. You know, she goes, I bet she's just a drug user. I bet she's just a this and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, whatever. It's just not a big deal. I saw her walking further into the mall. You're fine. So, completely convinced that our manager's not going to do anything to help us, we, as a group, once the manager walks away, go, look, if something happens, call me, call you, whatever, we'll be safe, you know? But we don't see this woman in the store again. But I saw her after that one more time. It was about a week later. I'm driving to the store. I'm about to make a left into the parking lot. And she was standing on the right side of the street, at the bus stop, staring at the store, glaring at the store, I should say, kind of just swaying in the breeze a little bit. The non-existent breeze, because this is Fresno in the fucking summer on a Wednesday. It was probably like 98 degrees. And that was my creepiest encounter that I've ever had to date. And knock on wood, it is my last creepy encounter. But has anything like that happened to y'all? Ooh, stitch it. Ooh, I don't know if I want to know. Tell me, don't tell me, I don't know.
So I know on here I talk a lot about brujeria story times because you guys share a lot of them. And most of the times the way you're able to get help is by seeking the help of a curandero. Now, what if I were to tell you that not all curanderos are built the same, and there are some that are there to just kind of give you more problems for you to keep giving them money to make you even sicker. Or they have absolutely no idea what the heck they're talking about and could potentially cost you your life. But for the sake of the story, let's call him James. So James was having a lot of stomach issues. He was having a really hard time keeping anything down. He was losing a ton of weight. He was convinced that his symptoms had to do with brujeria, so he sought out the help of a curandero who went ahead and confirmed it and told him that he had ingested the saliva of a frog. Apparently somebody had put this in his food to cause him all of these health issues. That the only way to get rid of like all his symptoms was to take this concoction that the curandero had put together. But of course, it was gonna cost James a ton of money. James was desperate and went ahead and gave the curandero however much it was. He took the concoction and went home. As time went on, the symptoms only became worse. And I'm talking about months, like months passed, and James kept going back to the curandero and taking more and more concoctions, still not getting any results. Finally, his wife put her foot down and told him that he needed to go to the actual doctor because obviously this curandero didn't know what the hell he was doing. Thankfully, James did listen, but unfortunately it was a little too late. By the time he went to the doctor, they ran a bunch of tests and they found out that he actually had stomach cancer. And it was to the point where it had completely spread everywhere. He was literally like weeks away from passing away. Had he gotten the help sooner, they may have been able to do something to help him. But since he took so long and continued on with the symptoms for however long, I think like a year passed where he was going back and forth with the curandero. Since he took so long to get help, it was too late and James actually ended up passing away. So yeah, definitely I suggest you go see an actual doctor first. And then if they can't figure out, maybe go see a curandero, not the other way around. So even though I am on vacation, I still wanted to share my creepy story time. I apologize for the lighting. I'll try the bathroom, I think it'll be better. The lighting's better, but the sound, this will have to do. So I grew up in a very haunted house. I used to work night shift. So I'm in the basement folding clothes when I start to hear what sounds like footsteps on the first floor. I ignore it thinking that probably my son woke up, he's probably running around, just being his average 3-year-old. So I'm still in the basement. When I start to hear my neighbor's dog start to howl, like howling. At that point I decided it's probably time for me to go to bed. So at this point I'm a little frustrated because I'm like, why is my son up at this time and why is he jumping around, thumping, and like just being so obnoxious upstairs? As I'm headed up the basement stairs, I'm getting ready to yell at him. When I open the basement door, I hear complete silence. I go on the second floor and I find him sound asleep. To this day, I still don't know what was jumping around. This is probably the scariest Ouija board story time that I have ever come across. For obvious reasons, this person thus wants to remain anonymous, so for the sake of the story, let's call her Lucy. A few years ago, Lucy was living in Los Angeles. Her parents had just bought this brand new house. Soon after they moved into the home, they started to hear rumors of 5 teens who had played with the Ouija board and had mysteriously gone missing. Not long after they moved into this house, Lucy's parents went away for the weekend, leaving Lucy home alone until like Monday. Lucy decided to invite 5 of her friends to come over and play with the Ouija board because, I mean, why not? What could possibly go wrong? But they didn't want to play with just any Ouija board. They wanted to play with that specific Ouija board that the 5 teens who had gone missing had played with. Around town, they had heard rumors that that specific Ouija board had been buried in a house where no one ever went to anymore. So they decided to go to that specific house and dig in the backyard, and they actually came across the Ouija board. Even though the Ouija board was very worn down and faded, they were still able to use it. They decided to head over to Lucy's house since she was home alone. They set up the whole scenario, they lit up candles, they sat around it, and they started. At first, they were a bit skeptic because nothing was really happening. They decided to ask the board, is anyone there? And nothing happened. Just when they were about to just kind of give up on the planchette moved to yes. They were thrilled, but like scared at the same time, decided to continue asking the board questions. They asked the board what their name was, and the board answered with the name Annie. Annie went ahead and let them know that she had actually died in the same home where Lucy was now living at. They asked her how she died, and Annie answered, fire. Once she started to talk to them, the air around them became extremely cold, and they could sense like the atmosphere had shifted. Feeling the weight of the room starting to weigh down on her, the candles that they had lit up started to flicker. Then they heard a loud bang on the wall. One of the friends ended up looking to the side, and they saw the silhouette of a woman standing there staring right at them. This really scared them, so they decided to say goodbye to the board so they can close out the session. But the minute they say goodbye, the board or the planchette started to move, saying the word no, 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 like it did not want to end the session. They then started to hear whispers like surrounding them throughout the whole room, saying the words help or help me. over and over again. Realizing that they had awakened something that they wanted absolutely nothing to do with, one of the friends grabbed a glass of water and poured it like over the board and started to yell, "Leave us alone." The whispers that they were hearing then turned into screams, and the planchette literally flew against the wall. This literally made the whole room erupt in complete chaos, and everybody got up and started running for their lives. The minute they left that room, the air felt completely light, and whatever presence was weighing down on them had disappeared. They decided to never speak of that night ever again, but the experience that happened that night haunted them, like till this day. Every single person that was in that room till this day still feels like Annie continues to watch them and stay like near them, still waiting for them to help her. A lot of them still claim to still hear faint cries in the middle of the night. They believe that they have opened something that they had absolutely no business opening, and till this day it remains open. Lucy's parents eventually ended up moving completely out of that state, but till this day, like, Lucy will still have nightmares about her experience.